be secure in what I felt that I should be able to do. I see my Black future as my spirituality, with my children, with my grandchildren, my great-grand, who I love dearly. Really stayed in the dark a long time. think more of us are in the sunlight now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Richie Adamako. I'd like to welcome you to another La Mama Live series. Today we have choreographer, dancer, and director Shauna Davis. How you doing, Shauna?
Hello, I'm doing well. That was fun.
Yeah, that was very, very beautiful piece. Wow. I kind of feel like I needed to watch that on like a SpaceX, like futuristic ship, kind of like in the Fifth Element, kind of zone. I totally got all those vibes. Really, very beautiful. So super involving too. How long does something like that take to create?
So I had the seed of an idea in December. And then we started going into pre-production in probably February. There was a period of me like gathering imagery and inspiration and just planning and figuring out what I wanted to see on the screen. And then we shot in April and now it's July. So about 7 months.
So you were working on that during the pandemic. Like, what does something like that involve, like in terms of difficulty? Because it must be super hard to have to create something like this during a time like this.
Yeah, you know what? I got really lucky in that I didn't feel like the restrictions of the pandemic were the most difficult and grueling. Um, yeah, I experienced a lot of generosity and a lot of safety when it comes to all of the people that were involved, and the spaces that like opened themselves up to make this happen. La Mama being a huge one. I started collaborating with La Mama at the beginning of the pandemic, so all I've ever known was creating with them in this time. So yeah.
So where does an idea like this come from? Like, what are you drawn from? What inspires something like this?
Yeah, so about a year ago, or a little over a year ago, um, I started this hair journey of growing my hair out. And it was at the rise of the Black Lives Matter protests and riots and things like that. And I was doing a bunch of different styles and thinking back on my history with my hair and the difficulties that have come with that. Um, and I just began thinking, wow, this is resilient. There are like whole universes in this. There's so much history and there's so much, like, there's so many worlds here. And after that, I was like, at first I thought about doing little miniatures of like civilizations, but then I thought, um, why not make it a universe and kind of dive into different worlds that I want to see portrayed. Um, yeah.
And it's pretty cool. I noticed that theme as well, like almost like borrowing from some of the tribes in like Sudan and like in Africa. But like what really stuck out to me was like just the different types of hair, and how that seemed to be part of the narrative. I mean, like, how long did it take to do that with
With,
the planets on there?
I think it took it maybe 2 hours, an hour and a half, but I
Oh,
had an awesome team of people around me. I met a hairstylist named Shatwaka Jackson, and my art director, Jarena DeMarco, kind of helped form and shape things that I couldn't see.
and that was all your hair, like.
No, 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 no. It was, yeah, we had rods of hair that we fashioned in this way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And then like, so okay, so with a background as a choreographer and a dancer, how does that narrative or story sort of change and form you're also directing? Because the way that this flows is very beautiful. um I'd imagine there are focal points that you want to bring out because you're no longer just expressing through just the form, but now you're shown focal points. So how did you find that transition in this particular piece?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I'm exploring what it is to be a director right now, and yeah, movement and choreography is my base. So I always see things through that lens. Um, and yeah, it was interesting. I'm finding in my relationship with dance and movement, I want it to be a little bit more story driven and to be a supporting component of the stories that I want to tell, of the scenes that I want to set. Um, so I'm kind of reworking my brain to see movement in a different way. And yeah, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that's what I've been toying around with.
I understand that. So in that sense, like, what comes first, the choreography or the music? Because there was a lot happened there between just like that narrative and then like also the story that was being told in the choreography as well.
Yeah. I would say before both of those things, the idea, like, it took a long time to flesh through exactly what I wanted. And with those ideas, with these worlds that I wanted to create, for example, in the flowerhead world, I wanted to see these like this earthy, but also really beautiful and really subtle like flowers on black skin. And I had to think about, okay, what kind of, who are these characters and why do they move in this way? And then similarly with the music. And I have to say again, the whole team involved really supported me, from the musicians to the dancers to the producer. My producer, Anna Bulbrook, helped me every step of the way to kind of fine tune how to make these ideas actuality.
So how many people worked on this project?
Oh man.
You have to give a number roughly.
I should count the credits. I would say like 35.
Wow. Okay. Wow. No small feat.
I would say 45. 45.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a production.
Yeah, that's pretty
like
cool.
A new thing for me that I'm excited to have dipped my toe in.
Nice. And like, so I mean, like in that sense, like I imagine the management in itself was probably like a handful as well. Would you say that having to work outside yourself and that aspect with that many bodies changed the way that you had to approach this from inception?
Yeah, I generally feel like everything in this process was new to me. Like, so I very quickly in the process had to put on many different hats and accept things as they came, and kind of be fluid within changes and with communication and all of that. Yeah.
In the surveillance part, who was that lady? The older lady's voice.
That was my grandma.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about that message and how that worked its way into that? Because that was a very pivotal sort of point in that whole segment.
Absolutely. Well, in surveillance world, I have a soft spot for that section specifically, because in this world, I wanted to portray surveillance as not something that just criminalizes people, but something that humanizes us, humanizes Black folks. And you don't really get that in our reality right now. When we see surveillance, it's just criminalizing. And I decided to interview my grandmother, because she has perspective from being born in 1934 and in the segregated South. And I just wanted to, I don't know, bring to light what she saw and the changes that she feels are present, and the steps that we're taking forward as a society and as people.
That was like very, very powerful. I felt that it almost made everything sort of like elevated, you know,
Oh,
like.
thank you.
But along with that, I don't know what it was. Like there was a cue in her words, the experience in the words also changed the way I heard the music.
Yeah.
Like the instrument stuck out a little bit more. So it was really interesting to see how a voice breaking through all of that sort of like changed that flow. So that's pretty cool. So with that said, what's next for you?
What's next? I had thought about this question before we signed in. Before I got on the call. I think more creation. I think more diving into this, more story-driven dance, and more interdisciplinary collaborations.
Nice. And if you had to sort of like take some of the ethos from Black.Eco and just sort of like spread it, what would you like to share in terms of that experience and the thought behind it?
What would I like to share?
Just like whether it's to other artists or other young Black girls trying to be an artist, like, you know, like.
Yeah, I think it's for Black people. I mean, it's for everyone, but it's for Black people. I want more imagery of us seeing ourselves in different ways, and having having imagination stem from everywhere, with movement, with imagery, with clothing, with music, dance, film, everything.
Awesome. Well,
Wish.
that's all I have for today, and I'd like to thank you for your time. I hope one day I can see this on a spaceship in outer space, because
Yeah,
that choreography totally could.
too.
Well, Shauna Davis, thank you for another segment of the Mama Live. Hope to see more work from you soon.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.